From a trove of coins found in a beloved turtle to a Russian woman who ended up in the bellies of her own pets, here are 10 of the strangest things ever found inside pets. Number 10. Coins in a turtle. When it comes to the strangest things ever found inside pets, 1,000 coins inside of a turtle has to be one of the most horrifying. This all happened in Thailand, when an innocent yet apparently hungry sea turtle ended up getting blood poisoning from eating coins that were thrown into the public pond where the turtle was residing in the Chonburi province. I'm sure when people were throwing coins in and making wishes, this was not what they hoped for. Unfortunately, by the time people realised what was going on and how many coins were potentially in her belly, she already had 11 pounds of metal inside her. All those metal coins ended up cracking her shell and causing her to need a 7-hour operation. Unfortunately, the surgery didn't go as well as planned. The turtle ended up getting blood poisoning afterwards, and a second surgery was required, and then sadly, the 25-year-old turtle fell into a coma and later died. This is a very tragic story, especially for such a majestic animal. People all over Thailand mourned the beloved turtle's death, and some people are hoping that the old tradition of throwing coins into the ponds for good luck will become less popular, since there are often turtles in those ponds and apparently they eat the coins, and now we know the kind of damage this can do. Number 9. 8-inch steak knife. Moving on to a much happier story. Meet Marcie, a young and energetic puppy from Glasgow, Scotland. Puppies can be a handful sometimes, chewing up shoes, destroying couches, eating the wrong things. And Marcie was no exception to this. The adorable little pup ended up swallowing a whole cooking knife. According to the report from the Huffington Post, Marcie was incredibly lucky to be alive after gobbling down the 8-inch knife. As you can see by the frightening X-ray image, this enormous utensil became lodged inside the bull terrier's stomach. The knife was so big inside of her that it's a miracle it didn't slice through her intestines or through her throat. But the real question is how the dog even managed to swallow the sharp knife. The owner of the pup didn't know anything was wrong until the pup began vomiting and choking. She rushed her animal to the veterinary clinic, where they quickly took x-rays and then performed the operation to remove the knife. Imagine being the owner and the vet telling you, yeah, there's a steak knife inside your puppy's stomach. Even after everything was said and done, Marcie's owner was clueless as to how the dog managed to get the entire thing into her belly, and the vets were just as shocked. But luckily, Marcie was fine after the surgery and miraculously made a full recovery. Has your dog ever eaten something that it shouldn't have? I'm sure you have some stories. Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Number 8. The python and the beach towel. A dog eating a knife is definitely weird, but what about Monty the pet python who ate an entire beach towel? This happened in Australia, when Monty the hungry python made the horrible decision to swallow a full beach towel for lunch. I guess it looked pretty delicious. This wasn't a big deal for the snake at first, considering that large pythons like this are easily able to swallow meals far larger than their bodies. All they need to do is unhinge their jaws and gobble it up. However, a beach towel isn't exactly going to digest properly in a snake's stomach. It turned into a life or death situation when the towel got bunched up inside of the snake. The employees of the small animal specialist hospital outside of Sydney were shocked when the owner brought the snake in. But luckily, they were able to use a long pair of forceps to grab the towel and gently pull it out of the snake's body. Of course, the snake had to go under anesthesia first, but she was undoubtedly quite happy when she woke up and the giant lump of fabric was no longer in her belly. At the end of the day, it was a happy ending for Monty the python. Number 7. Hungry Hungry Pug. Pugs have never been recognised as the smartest dogs in the canine kingdom, but they are pretty stinking cute with those smushy faces. One particularly hungry pug in Queensland made an unusually bad choice when he scarfed down a bunch of plastic balls from the popular tabletop game Hungry Hungry Hippos. The dog's owner had been playing the game with her young son when suddenly she noticed that her dog Sherman had one of the balls in his mouth. Then something occurred to her, as the owner began to count how many of the balls were left and how many there were supposed to be. It turned out that 11 were missing, and everyone had a pretty good idea who had stolen them. In just a few minutes, Sherman the guilty little pug had eaten 11 balls, thereby winning the game of Hungry Hungry Hippos without even playing. Luckily, the owner managed to get Sherman to the vet quickly, where he had to undergo a procedure to remove the plastic balls from his stomach. When this was happening, the veterinarian also found star glitter in his stomach, though nobody was quite sure where that came from. According to the report from ABC News, Sherman is now 100% recovered and living a happy life. Number 6. Russian woman and her pigs. Sometimes people find foreign objects in the bellies of their pets, and sometimes actual people end up in the bellies of their pets. This literally happened to a 56-year-old woman in Russia who was eaten by her very own pet pigs after she collapsed inside of their pen. When pigs aren't squealing and oinking, they will pretty much eat anything, including human bones. According to the report from the BBC, the woman had ventured out to feed the pigs when she fainted and then suffered from an epileptic seizure. This would not normally have been a life or death situation, but unfortunately she collapsed near her very hungry pigs, and apparently her pigs weren't very fond of her. By the time her husband found her body the next day, it was clear that she had died from blood loss. Cause of death: eaten by pigs. Number 5. Fork in the guts. What is it with dogs and eating utensils? Just like the dog we talked about earlier who ate a steak knife, this next dog ate a fork. Although in this case, we can't really blame the dog since it's so ridiculously cute. This adorable golden retriever puppy found himself in quite a predicament after he swallowed a fork. It all happened when the puppy's family was making dinner. The puppy decided to join them, but rather than eating the food, the dog decided to eat the silverware. Dustin, the golden retriever, was then rushed to the emergency room, where x-rays revealed the fork comfortably lodged inside of his esophagus. Veterinarians were stunned, but they quickly got to work and safely removed the giant metal utensil with a specialized endoscope, gently pulling the fork from the dog's mouth. In this case, the dog was lucky it did not require surgery. Perhaps the fork had a little flavor left on it and Dustin thought he'd help lick it clean. Number 4. Snake eats metal tongs. It seems like snakes get into just about as much trouble as dogs. Yet another snake swallowed something it really shouldn't have and needed to be sent to an animal care centre in the city of Adelaide for emergency medical treatment. What did the snake swallow this time? It ate a pair of barbecue tongs. According to the report from CNN, Winston the python somehow swallowed the barbecue tongs and got them lodged inside of his digestive tract. The outline of the tongs could even be felt through the snake's skin. Snakes have the ability to regurgitate, but this was a potentially fatal disaster because the snake was in danger of harming itself on the sharp edges of the metal. Even just trying to drag the tongs out could have resulted in Winston's death. Luckily, the folks at the animal hospital were professionals and managed to remove the tongs with a quick surgery that lasted only about 25 minutes. Since being sent home from the hospital, Winston has been healing quickly and is expected to make a full recovery. Number 3. Orthopedic plate in gator stomach. Some people own dogs, some people own snakes, and then there's the guy in Australia who owns an entire crocodile farm. Technically, all the saltwater crocodiles at the Kurana crocodile farm are his beloved pets. Leave it to someone down under to do that. And one of his pets somehow managed to swallow a surgical plate. However, the plate wasn't discovered until after the 15-foot crocodile, whose name by the way was MJ, died in June. After the crocodile's unfortunate death, an autopsy was done and an orthopedic plate was found inside of its guts, along with a whole heap of inedible rocks. However, this wasn't that big a surprise to the farm owner, who told CNN that weird things turned up inside of the crocodile's stomachs on a frequent basis. The only big surprise was that the foreign object was a surgical plate. Nobody has any idea where the plate came from, or if it was part of a human or an animal. The massive crocodile had been living at the farm for 6 years, so it could have been eaten decades ago and just sat in the croc's stomach. After all, he was nearly 70 years old when he passed away. Number 2. 32 rubber ducks. Here we are again with another silly dog swallowing something it shouldn't have. If you've been thinking about buying your beloved pet a toy duck, you may want to think again after hearing this crazy story. A veterinarian in Thailand recently removed 32 small rubber duckies from the stomach of a bulldog, and the vet is warning the public to keep their dogs away from such toys. Apparently, this was not even the first time that the veterinarian was forced to perform a surgery to remove a toy duck from the stomach of a dog. However, this was the highest number of rubber ducks that had ever needed to be removed, making it a low-key world record. It all happened after the dog's owner called into the veterinarian saying that their dog had vomited up 5 rubber ducks already. The owner wanted to get an x-ray to see how many toy ducks were still left in the puppa's stomach. As it turned out, there were nearly 3 dozen of them. Luckily, a quick surgery fixed the problem and the dog recovered back to its full health. And if given the chance, it would probably eat all 32 ducks again. Number 1. Two-headed snake. As usual, I have saved the most outrageous story for last. In Florida, a woman's cat arrived home with the most incredible surprise ever. It didn't actually have anything stuck in its stomach, but it did find a rare snake with 2 heads while playing outside. The cat even dragged the snake home to show its owners. Suffice to say, everyone was shocked to discover the cat playing with this 2-headed monster, and they quickly put the snake into a plastic container and then went searching for a reptile specialist who could tell them how to deal with the animal. According to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, this bizarre snake was the product of twins failing to separate while the embryo was still developing. The result was that 2 heads were conjoined to a single body. This uncommon phenomenon is called bicephaly, and the chances of a creature surviving in the wild with this kind of mutation is extremely low. What's really fascinating about this double-headed snake is that both its tongues flicked and reacted to movement, though not always at the same time. Each head had its own brain, and each brain made different decisions. Currently, the snake is being cared for and properly monitored by the Fish and Wildlife Commission. As for the original cat that found this strange beast, who knows what other curiosities it will bring home with it next time. Let's just be glad the two-headed serpent wasn't in the kitty's stomach. Thanks for watching. What's the strangest thing you've ever seen your pet swallow? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to subscribe and come back soon for more amazing animal videos. What's the strangest thing or item that you have accidentally swallowed? What's the oddest thing or item you have accidentally swallowed?